In this video, I'm going to be showing guys how to win more Showdown games in season number 6 in NBA 2K25 My Team, just giving you guys a full breakdown of everything you guys need to know to be able to be better at 2K, to win more games in Showdown, and honestly just have more fun, because I don't think anybody likes losing, especially in a video game. So just going to give you guys everything you guys should know about this game and all the little tips and tricks that can help you guys. Now at the end of the day, you guys have to play the game yourself, and I can't play it for you, but I think if you guys use all these helpful tips and tricks and just strategies, I think you guys can improve your game. I'm not going to sit here and say you guys are going to be Ty Debo or you guys are going to be Splash and you're going to win King at the Court and all that type of stuff, but I do think with these tips and these tricks, if you guys don't know them already, you guys should be able to definitely improve your game at 2K and honestly be able to win more games in Showdown. That's kind of what this video is helpful for, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it and do find it helpful. So the first thing I always like to talk about first is going to be your team building and your team strategy, and I'm actually showing you guys this on the No Money Spent account because I want to show you guys you don't really need that great of a team to go into Showdown and compete, and you can have sort of a budget team like this. I mean, I have Pink Diamond Wemby, but I want to talk about a strategy of how you guys should be building your team and what you guys should be focusing on. So my premise and kind of my strategy when I talk about building teams, and if you guys watch my I build your teams, I rate your team series, you guys will see kind of how I'm structuring teams, and you guys will get more of an idea and understanding of how I'm building teams to make them just more successful. Because for example, what you guys don't want to do is you don't want to have too much offense or too much defense on a line specifically. So for example, if I were to move, let's say, Rocco to the starting small forward position, and let's say I went for a defensive point guard. I don't even know if I have a defensive point guard on this account, but let's just say I had a defensive point guard in like Stephon Castle, right? If I had Stephon Castle at point guard, now I have Stephon Castle, Corey Brewer, and Rocco. I don't have much offense at all, right? So now this team's going to be fully defensively, and maybe that could be a strategy if you guys wanted to go down that route. Maybe you want to focus on defense. Maybe you want to just say, you're gonna score 20 points and I'm gonna score 21 points or something like that if you want to go for just defense, but I don't really recommend it. What I recommend is having a balanced line with offense and defense, and kind of what I look for, kind of the rule I look for is one main shot creator. So on each line, you want to have that one card that if you need a bucket, if you're struggling to score, who are you giving the ball to and who's going to go get you a bucket? For me, on my starting lineup, I got Galaxy Simple Levine. Off the bench, I do have Amethyst AC Law. It doesn't matter what cards you guys have. When I play on Bounty's account or Vlado's account, I might have Tim Duncan as my best offensive card, 100 overall pro pass version, or I might have Zach Edey, or I might have like all these crazy overpowered cards like Michael Beasley, Shea, like these crazy ridiculous cards. But I'm also telling you guys, you can do this on other accounts as well. You don't have to be having the best teams in this game or the strategy of building your team. So whatever cards you guys think are best offensively, for me, they're just at point guard, but they can be your small forwards, they can be your power forwards, they can be your centers. Like you could say Wemby's your best offensive card and you can run your offense through Wemby, but just make sure you have one card on each line that is a good ball handler, preferably, and a card that can just go score for you at will. For me, it's gonna be Zach LaVine and AC Law, but I would prefer and tell you guys, if you can, make sure this card is good shot creation, good playmaking, good ball handling, a card that can actually run the offense as your main offensive card. And then next, again, it doesn't have to be a shooting guard. For some reason, that's just how my lineup matches out. You want to make sure you have one lockdown defender on each line. So for example, Corey Brewer on my starting lineup, now that he's a dark matter with a Joakim Noah boost, he is going to be an insanely good perimeter defender. And if we match up against let's just say John Wall, and Austin Reeves, and MJ, I'm trying to think of the best, point guard scoring cards, or best just overall cards like Tracy McGrady, right, at shooting guard. If we're facing these really overpowered cards that are offensively amazing, Corey Brewer, he's going to be my main lockdown defender. And that is super important to have a card that has 94 perimeter, 98 steal, 95 block, 92 interior defense, really good agility at a 96. And then off the bench, I do have Pink Diamond Rocco, who's another 6'9" shooting guard, really good defensively, 90 block, 96 steal, 96 perimeter, 95 interior defense with a 96 agility. Make sure these cards have good agility because that does count for lateral quickness from past 2Ks, and it helps you move laterally on the defensive end and stay in front of your opponent. So defensively, you want to have like one card on each line that you consider to be your lockdown card for guarding cards on the perimeter. I'm not saying if you have a good defensive center, for example, Tyson Chandler, he's really good defensively, but he's only good defensively. I mean, he can guard the perimeter as well. 85 steal, 85 block is a little bit low to put 85 steal, 85 perimeter, I should say, is a little bit low to have on the other team's best scoring guard. So you want to make sure you have like a Corey Brewer, a Rocco type of player. And then for me, I think for that small forward, or again, it doesn't have to be the small forward position, but for some reason my lineup just kind of, rounds out like that. But make sure you have a card that can kind of just do it all. That's what I personally like to have. Or you can go down the route is you have two offensive cards and you have one defensive card, or you have one really good offensive card and you have two really good offensive cards, one defensive card, or two really good defenders, and one offensive card. For me personally, with this type of team, I like going for one really good offensive card on each line, one really good defensive card on each line, and one just kind of all around card. Like Jonathan Bender, he's a 7-foot small forward. Make sure you guys are trying to focus on height as well, making sure you're having a taller team if possible. We have 6'9" shooting guards, we have a 7-foot small forward. My point guards are a little bit short. I definitely could improve those, maybe getting a Dyson Daniels, you know, getting a Stephon Castle for some height, but then I would need like offensive shooting guards and all that type of stuff. So make sure you're focusing on height. But Jonathan Bender and Jeff Green, they're very well-rounded small forwards. They can do everything at a high level. And then making sure you're having good defense at the power forward position. I think it's a really important position to have a good defender at. I think just having a good defensive power forward can help you, you know, in pick and roll. It can help you, you know, help side defense, all that type of stuff. And then just at center, I mean, make sure you have at least a tall center, a 7'1" center card. That's all you really need to be focusing on. You know, Wemby's obviously insane. Eddie Curry's really good. So those are my best tips when it comes to the lineup screen. I do think it's very important though for how you guys structure your lineup. I wasn't telling you guys like what are the best cards. You guys can watch my other videos, budget cards, value cards, best cards in this game to know what cards are good at each position. But just wanted to kind of tell you guys how to structure your lineup. And again, you can do that with any single card you guys have in your collection. But now a quick little tip here is if you guys go over to your controller settings, I think something very important to do is to put your shot timing profile up to the high risk reward. Now what this is, it means you are going to be greening not technically less shots. Sorry, you're going to be greening more shots, but you're going to be not making any whites. If you were to play on low risk timing, you are going to be smacking whites like crazy left, right, and center, but it's going to be very hard to green on low risk reward. So if you're horrible at this game and you're a brand new player, maybe you want to go on low risk, but I would challenge you guys, if you're new, if you're maybe not that good at this game, I would challenge everybody to play on high risk. I do think it's worth it in the end. It is definitely going to make you help you guys green a lot more shots. For the layup timing, I just play on real player percentage. If you guys want to time your shots, you could put this on one of the timings, but I just put on real player percentage. For me, it just works out the best. And then I put a free throw timing onto user timing, shot timing, visual cue. I don't know if for stick shooting, if it actually matters for this, but I just play on set point. And then make sure you guys are putting your shot meter input type to shot button only. And that's pretty much all you guys need to know. I think that's about it when it comes to the controller settings. But now to go over quickly to, I think we'll do defensive settings next. There's so much to talk about, so this might be a little bit of a longer video, but what you guys want to do is come over to your lineup screen, go over to your coaching, and you can actually now change your coaching settings, you know, all the type of stuff, your coach game plan in this setting, and it should save once you guys go into a game. So we're going to talk about your offensive settings here quickly. You just want to make sure for freelance, you guys are putting either 5 out or you guys are putting Bucks 2018. Those are the two best freelances in this game. It's going to help you guys a ton with spacing. It is super important to have either 5 out or Bucks 2018, because if you don't, your spacing is going to be horrible. You're going to have always 2 cards down there in the paint. You're going to have 2 big men in the paint, and it's just going to clog up the paint and make it super hard to score the basketball. So make sure you have either 5 out freelance or Bucks 2018. I've seen people run both, but it's definitely coming down to preference of what you guys like. I use personally the 5 out freelance. And then for the defensive settings, this is what I personally run. There's so many other videos and people out there that will tell you guys different defensive settings, so I will challenge you guys to tweak this to your liking and what you guys prefer. But for me personally, I play on ball pressure smother, I play on off ball pressure tight, on ball screen go over, on ball screen center go over. I think this one, unless you're playing switch all defense, now this is another strategy that maybe I'll talk about. If you have a taller team, if you have Magic at point guard, if you have like really tall shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, maybe you want to play switch all defense, because this can be very effective, and it's really hard to score on a guy that's playing switch all defense and knows what they're doing. So if you have the right team for that, you could play switch all, but you also kind of have to know what you're doing as well for that defense. So for mainly most people, I would put on the go over for on ball screen and on ball screen center. For the hedge, I like to play on no hedge personally. I like to manually hedge if I want to on a screen. So what this means is, obviously, if you guys know what a hedge is in real life, when there's a pick and roll happen, the center, if he's going to hedge, if it's a hard hedge, that center is going to come up and he's going to try to beat the guard to the spot. He's going to be, you know, fully taking off that guard's drive to the right. But obviously that's going to leave, you know, a slip wide open. A slip wide open or a pick and pop is going to happen a lot with the hard hedge. So I like to play no hedge because I like to manually control that. So when there's a pick and roll happening against my opponent, if he's, you know, the guard, and then obviously he's calling the screen from the center, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to manually, and I'll kind of show you guys, I'm trying to manually switch between my point guard. Let's just say the point guard and center pick and roll. I'm trying to manually, you know, play between my point guard and my center. I'm clicking onto the center. Maybe I'm going to hedge, or maybe I even, you know, hard hedge, and then I'm able to rotate back with my guard. So I like to manually do this If you want to just have 2K do it for you, I would probably recommend either a catch hedge or a soft hedge is what I would recommend doing. If you feel like you're confident at this game, or you feel like you're definitely on the better side, or if you know how to play hedge defense with a center or with a big man, or if you just know how to play hedge center in 2K or real life, it's kind of the same thing, but just actually having to move your sticks and to get there properly, and how to play that. I do think no hedge is the best, but you kind of have to know what you're doing. So if you're a newer player, that's totally okay. I would just put on soft hedge or catch hedge. But like I said, no hedge to me is the best for hedge and hedge center. Stay attached. Make sure you guys 100% have this on always. Off ball screen, I let go over. Again, I think that's a necessity. Do not have this go on under, or if somebody's running plays or somebody's running screens off the ball, you are going to get absolutely cooked. So definitely make sure you guys are running the off ball screen to go over. And then kind of the two next important ones are the screen help rules and the drive help rules. Make sure you guys have these so no help, because if you don't, when people try to drive in, if they get past your first defender and they get into the paint, your corners are just going to completely crash to the center. Yes, they might stop the drive, but they're going to leave a wide open kick out to the corner for a wide open three. And trust me, just put on no help for these two. And then cutter help rules, make sure that's on no help as well. So those are the defensive settings to me that are personally the best. I'll quickly scroll down so you guys can pause the video or just see them again. I try to go as slow as possible so you guys can see all of my defensive settings. And yeah, that should help you guys out a ton when it comes to defense. Other than that, make sure you guys turn your adaptive coaching engine to off, and make sure obviously these three things are on manual. You don't want your CPU, I guess, subbing in players randomly or calling timeouts for you randomly, wasting timeouts. So make sure these three settings are on manual, and make sure this adaptive coaching engine is on off, because if it's on offense and defense, or offense or defense only, it is going to be changing your everything I just did and talked to you guys about with defensive settings and offensive settings. It is just going to completely disregard everything we just did. So make sure this is off. It is now going to be your 100% defensive settings, your 100% offensive settings. Instead, if you had it on this, it might be changing it might be adapting again to this coaching engine, and it will change your defensive settings and also change your offensive settings. So make sure it is turned to off. Now next, I want to quickly go into freestyle and just talk about rhythm shooting, talk about stick shooting, whatever you guys do want to call it, because honestly, I think everybody should be learning how to stick shoot. And I'm not going to give a full breakdown in this video. I did in a separate video if you guys want to go watch it, but learn how to stick shoot. I'm telling you guys, it 100% is going to help your game when it comes to shooting the basketball 1,000 times over. And how you guys stick shoot is, instead of holding the button to shoot like this is how you shoot with the button. What you guys want to do is you want to hold the right stick down, and then you want to flick up at the appropriate time, let go, and that is how you can green the release. Again, I'm not going to give a full breakdown, but I will tell you guys, this is what you guys need to learn, and it's going to take a lot of practice. I can promise you guys, it's not going to be something you're going to do for the first time, and you're going to be greening shots left, right, and center. You got to give it time. You got to be patient with it. I'm still learning till this day how to stick shoot, and it's something that is not easy to do. Especially if you're a newer player, it is not going to be easy right away, and you're probably going to get very frustrated. So make sure you're going into freestyle. I would say start in freestyle, start practicing here like I am with Zach Levine until you get it down consistently. Again, it's flick down, or not flick, it's hold down on the right stick, flick up, let go, and that is how you green the shot. Practice in freestyle. Once you get it down in freestyle, then I go into like offline game modes, and more so start there than just hopping into like a showdown game and stick shooting for the first time. It is going to be impossible. I can tell you guys, as someone that's shot with the button for 7 years on 2K, since like 2K17 or 2K24, I can tell you guys it was such a hard learning curve, and it definitely took a lot of patience and a lot of time to learn. But I think once you guys can, and once you guys get it down, I've learned from myself and personal experience that it does help you guys out immensely. It's helped me out immensely with just shooting the ball more consistently. So I'm pretty sure that's about it when it comes to everything I want to talk about before we get into the game. And I'll just quickly go into a game here, talk about a little bit more strategies like X switching or A switching or whatever you guys, whatever console you guys are on. Talk a little bit about how to play the pick and roll, what I'd be doing on offense, all the type of stuff. So I think we're just going to hop into a showdown game, and yeah, I'll show you guys all my tips in game for how you guys can best obviously play 2K and try to win some more showdown games. Okay, boys, so into the showdown game, what you guys want to make sure is that, of course, you guys turn on your freelance. You want to scroll down to freelance in the offensive settings, and you want to again change it to the 5 out, and just make sure that you have your defensive settings saved. As you guys can see, all the settings we put in the coach settings, in the lineup game plan or lineup management, as you can see, all of our settings do save. And what I would recommend doing is going into your defensive settings and turn this transition defense onto no threes. That's going to help with, if in transition your opponent has the ball and he's pushing the ball in transition, he's going to be able to spray out the ball to the corners and to the wings. But if you have this on, your team is going to focus on getting to the 3-point line, and maybe you'll give up a dunk, but that's better than giving up a wide open transition 3. Those are honestly killer in this game. So make sure you guys are putting on transition defense to no threes, and again, make sure your settings are saved. But if they're saved, if you have your offensive settings ready to go, by turning on the freelance, what you guys do is you click the right arrow, you click RB on Xbox to select the freelance, and then you click 5 out. And now you guys can see our offense is going to go into a 5-out freelance, right? And now what you can do is now you can start running pick and roll, right? We can get the screen from Joakim Noah. We can look to attack downhill. We got Joakim Noah with that speed and a wide open dunk. So I'll kind of talk strategy on offense and defense just for a little bit here of this game. Now I know I'm not playing against the best opponent. He doesn't have the best team in this world, but I'll still try to give you guys my best, helpful tips in the actual game. So we're going to try to play hedge defense here. As you guys can see, I clicked onto Joakim Noah, was able to get a good contest and get that rebound, and now we're pushing that ball in transition. That is something that I do recommend you guys try to do, is you try to push the ball as fast as possible in transition to try to catch your opponent off guard. If we have a mismatch here, what we could do is we could click Y onto Joakim Noah. We could send him into a post up, and now what Joakim Noah is going to do is he's going to go post up. We have a mismatch here. Now I don't have a lot of time to work with because I'm trying to explain what I'm doing, but as you guys can see, you want to take advantage of mismatches if you ever do get any, and that's something that can be super helpful, just on the offensive end. So pick and roll again, gonna see I'm clicking onto the center, playing good help defense. That wasn't really the greatest defense. He kind of got a wide open shot, but I think we forced him into a bad look. I don't think that was a shot he was really comfortable taking. So again, that's something I really recommend, is try to force guys into taking, uncomfortable shots. As we're going to miss there with Jonathan Bender. That happens. You're not going to green every single jump shot, but we're able to get that offensive rebound with Wemby. Again, having that size really does help at the center position, able to get rebounds. But I mainly just want to show you guys, what I'm doing on defense. Again, trying to help here with Wemby, good switch, and that's a good recovered defense. Like, as you guys can see on the pick and roll, I'm switching on to the center, and I feel like I'm playing good defense, for the most part here. Gonna kick it back out to Wemby. We got a tall center. We can just shoot over the top of him, and we're gonna be wide open. So now I do want to talk about switching on defense. So if he does call another pick and roll, I will show you guys kind of that X switch defense or A switch defense. If you hold down A here, okay, that was kind of a bad example because he didn't really call a screen. He just drove to the rim. So I'll try to show you guys a good X switch or A switch example. It's pretty much the same. It is the exact same thing. It's just called two different things because, X is for PlayStation and A is for Xbox. So hopefully he can get into a normal pick and roll here, and I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So come on, come set a screen with somebody. Okay, he's got Kobe White, and then what I'm gonna do is hold A. Okay, he's not really running a pick and roll properly, but what you guys do is when somebody runs a pick and roll, what you want to do is you want to hold down A or X depending on your console, and it's going to switch your opponent. It's going to switch your players. So what's going to happen is, I think my opponent just quit. Yeah, we're gonna take a wide open three. Joakim Noah, he's got a really fast jump shot, a really good release. But for example, if somebody does call a pick and roll, you want to hold down A, and that's going to switch your player. So then for example, we got a really fast rage quit here. So what you do is if there's a pick and roll, and let's say you're controlling the point guard on defense, okay, I think we should do this first, see if we get anything good here. We'll go left, and we get a takeover pack. So didn't really get anything good there. So to talk a little bit more about A switching, because I didn't really get to show it too much in the game there, but basically if you're controlling the point guard, what you guys want to do is hold down A on Xbox, hold down X on PlayStation, and what that's going to do is switch your point guard onto the center. So basically you just switched manually. Instead of having your CPU switch or you play switch all defense, you can manually switch all, or you can manually just switch in a pick and roll, and that's really effective against a pick and pop. Against a pick and roll, it does kind of leave it kind of leaves the roller wide open. You can get people slipping on you a lot. It can definitely happen. So if somebody's running a lot of pick and fades, a lot of pick and pops, what I'd recommend doing is when they're going to use the screen and they're going to run the pick and fade, just X switch it or A switch it. So what's going to happen is now your big's going to switch onto the point guard, and you're going to be the point guard switched onto the center. And again, you can switch off, then go onto the center, guard the point guard. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to play the switch all defense, to play the switch defense, but I did want to quickly talk about there in that game, just to give you guys an example. But I think in that game, you guys got to see kind of what I was doing on offense, what I was doing on defense, and just how you can run up the score against your opponent. So let me know if you guys would want to see maybe me play like a couple different Showdown games and then kind of break down the film and talk about that. I can do kind of like a in the lab, or just like a film study, film breakdown, whatever you guys want to call it. And I'll play like a couple games of Showdown, or I'll play just one game of Showdown, depending on how long the game is. And if it's a competitive game, I'll try to maybe find a competitive game of me playing, and then I'll show you guys a breakdown, kind of just explaining what I was doing, what happened, some key moments, all the type of stuff. But I hope you guys found this video helpful. I think I gave a whole lot of tips to really help you guys win more games in Showdown. And I really hope I did help you guys out. So if I did, drop a like down below. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe for all the Myteam content you guys can expect. I have everything on my channel, from gameplays, tier lists, rankings, obviously tipful, helpful videos, how to make MT, everything you guys can think of, I do have here on the channel. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.